March 22, 2024. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. There was really no economic data that came out today. There was Jerome Powell speaking at around 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 6 a.m., right here. Didn't look like he really did that much to move the markets. Overall, the price action was in a gigantic trading range. Well, gigantic's a relative term. Most of the price action I saw kind of fit within 53.04 and I don't know, roughly 52.90. So it's about a 14-point range, but it was very, very slow price action today. These candles are taking a while to form, and this is over 6.5 hours of trading. So as you can see, there's not very many candles. Very reminiscent of what happened yesterday, where it was also kind of a really tight range that price action was trading at. So I didn't find that many setups either. The whole day was just kind of slow and choppy, and I was also having difficulty drawing, I guess, good, decent channels that I felt confident on. So I ended up with a bunch of shortened trend channels that also didn't quite fit clean. And the ranges themselves, when I tried to fit them, they were just kind of ugly. So it was just very slow price action. I managed to get one trade, but it was an aggressive trade. And then I didn't see too many other trades available, maybe only one other possible trade that came late in the day that I felt wasn't worth it, especially after I did get one profitable trade. It just felt like it was kind of a scratch day. So in the pre-market, I see that there's not that much volume, and off the top, I'm thinking this looks like it's going to be a range day because it makes a consistent high, consistent lows, and the total range is about, I don't know, 16 points. But I just didn't look very exciting today. And turns out today was very, very slow. Prices move. I saw this up channel, so I did see this down channel, but I don't trade the pre-market. So prices open, creates a new high. EMA is kind of flattening, so I'm not really trusting it as any kind of good indicator. Technically, you have a new high, first entry long. You do have a second entry long because it broke below here and flashed up. So technically, you have a second entry long here, but it's really pretty close to the start of the day, and I just didn't really like the setup. Thinking that there was going to be even better ones coming up, but turned out there wasn't very many setups at all in general. So prices then kind of move down in this yellow channel, makes a break and tests the lows, bounces around. Nothing really particularly that I like. You do have a new low here. It's a first entry short, pulls up. You technically have a second entry short here. This is your signal bar though. It's not the best. It's a break of this yellow up channel, so you're thinking it wants to come up and test the highs. So it's confusing on whether it's going to test the highs, come back to the other side, because I did have this as potentially as a top of a range because it looked like it fit pretty well. I wasn't thinking the pre-market range was going to be too valid after seeing this. So I thought maybe it's going to be in this blue trading range from the highs here to about the bottom pre-market. So I was wondering if it's going to push a second time to touch the top. So nothing here tells you to go long or short. It just feels like you should stay out of this. Comes up, kind of almost hits the top, makes two legs up. You also have a new low here, first entry short, second entry short. It's an inside bar, not convincing. I also noticed today there were a lot of inside signal bars that kind of negate a lot of possible setups, or at least shift them from high probability to a little more riskier low probability trades. New high, first entry long, second entry long. This is your signal bar for second entry long, but it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's a bad signal bar. Falls into this channel, so I'm thinking, okay, it's kind of respecting this. I'm looking for a low or a test of the low back down here, but unfortunately, nothing really sets up. So it makes a new low again. So you only have a first entry long. Finally hits the bottom. It breaks out below and it matches the lows of the pre-market, but actually had more of a support here because it looked like there's more interaction at this line. It breaks out below. I'm thinking fail breakout, but it also still fits within this yellow down channel. So no trades. Now it starts reversing. I see a new low here. It's a first entry short, pullback. Here is a second entry short, but you don't know it's going to be a second entry short till this candle forms. And this second entry short is the break of this green channel, but it made one attempt up, and you could argue that it tested the highs already, but it wasn't a very strong, decisive close inside this green channel. So at this point, I'm thinking, boom, this one could flash down, tick, and then go up and test the highs. So I wasn't thinking second entry short. Then when this candle formed, I did see it was a second entry short, but here, this is a decent signal bar. It just doesn't feel safe because right now the downtrend is still in play because you're looking for a test of this new low. But in between, it doesn't mean that they couldn't test the highs of this green up channel. So I was thinking when I saw this, it could tick up one, test the highs here, and then truly start moving down. But it kind of did that early. Looked like if you overstayed your welcome, you likely would have gotten stopped out probably by this candle. Prices then start moving up. I drew this orange support trend line and I matched it with a potential trend channel, this orange one, but it breaks out, kind of floats around, consolidates. You have a new high, first entry long, second entry long. This isn't a very convincing bar to go long on. So again, I'm just waiting. It definitely forms a consolidation area. I see a failed breakout, but no setup. Again, you just get these candles, body side by side. It breaks out and breaks through, starts moving down. I'm not totally convinced this yellow down channel is super valid yet. It has this big break and then pushes down. It looked like it was trying to re-enter this blue consolidation area, but it just didn't look clean. Prices come back down. Now it's kind of holding the support. So I dragged my blue trading range from where the pre-market was and I actually dragged it down to here and matched it down here so it fit a little bit nicer. So it looks like there's a new support here. Prices move up. And here I actually see a new low, get a first entry short, pull back, second entry short. Now, when I saw the second entry short, I saw the break of this yellow up channel, and I'm thinking there is a potential to come back up and test the high. So it's one attempt up, pull back. This could be a second attempt up. You do have a confirmed second entry short. Second entry short hasn't failed yet, and you don't have a second entry long yet. And I thought this could have been a trade if the EMA were a little closer. So far, it's just kind of out there floating in the middle of nowhere, and I didn't quite like that. There's also a potential that this could be some kind of resistance, the midpoint of this blue trading range. So there could be some kind of reaction here. Maybe it's playing off of two potential trading ranges. So it's a little ambiguous. I just wanted this to be cleaner with a stronger EMA to hold support. Looks like it would have worked for a long trade though. The other thing also going against it is if I entered here, the recent high is here and it's less than a point. So it felt dicey to try to enter because it's only 2 ticks. And that just felt too risky on a day like this where you've been sitting here for a couple hours and all the candles that have been printed, it's just been very slow. Prices chop around, it kind of moves up. I don't see any clean entries. This would have been nice if there was a setup here because it did bounce off the EMA. Breaks up and out through the top of what I think is this potential large trading range, has a failed breakout and makes a triple test, but there's no clean setup. You have a first entry. Technically, you have a second entry long potential here. I saw this, but I was weary of the EMA because even though the EMA is holding, it's potentially just came from a failed breakout and there's not that much room from here to the top here. You have about 5 points. So it felt a little dicey. I wanted this to form a second entry long. So the next candle I wanted to actually tick above and then also create and give me a lower high above the EMA. Then I feel confident that the breakout's going to happen. Otherwise, I think the strength of the pull back into the trading range is too strong. So this was I was very cautious of. Looked like if you did enter it, tick you in, flash down, and if you kept your stop below this candle, you're still alive. And then here you're definitely have stopped out. And if you kept it one tick below the previous swing, which is right here, you would have gotten stopped out again. Now, if you kept your stop below here, you may or may not survive. We'll see as this unfolds, but it's a large risk now because your entry was way up here and your stop is all the way down here. It's like almost four and a quarter points roughly, I think. So it looks like you would have survived, but unless you're going for more than just a 1 point scalp, I don't think it would have been worth it. It chops around and look, this is already 11:41 Pacific Standard, and this has already been a good pretty much almost 5 hours of trading. And this is all the price action that you got with very few setups. It just looked like a really slow day. But I did see this as one big leg, so like a spike in a channel, but also potentially one leg, one push down, pull up, second push down. So I counted this as a new high as well. First entry long pullback. Technically, you have a second entry long, but this is a terrible signal bar to go second entry long to go long on. But it looks like it's in this trading range. So when this next candle formed, it created a triple bottom and a double touchdown here. Now, I couldn't quite convince myself there's a triple test, but I did see that this is a potential support because it couldn't seem to break below here. So I saw this as a first entry long, second entry long confirmed. Also visual, two legs down. It wants to come back up and ideally test the highs of this green channel. I thought there's a potential trade here. And I have to admit, after sitting here with only 1 hour left, I was getting anxious and just wanted to see if there was a decent trade to take. So when this candle formed and broke above, it's actually opened here, ticked below. I watched it. It didn't tick below this support, which I liked, and it definitely didn't tick below these three. It was floating. I entered one tick above the original signal bar for the second entry long, which is right here. And I was just going for a 1 point quick scalp. I didn't have this yellow down channel yet, so I was able to get a scalp and I moved my runner one tick above. Unfortunately, the runner survived and then it got stopped out. So it floated up and it got stopped out right here. That's how come it looks like there's two exits. One was my core profit and this was the one contract that was left. Then it flashes through, it bumps down. Here I draw this yellow down channel. I didn't know where the bottom of the channel was. At one time I was thinking it's a little bit tighter, but this is a huge overshoot. I didn't quite like that. I want to include it. So I dragged it down to here, fit a little bit better. It looked like maybe there's a two-tier channel, this higher one, this lower one. But still, it's getting really late in the day. I did see this as a new low, first entry short. It's bouncing off the pre-market low. It tried to push through the overall larger trading range, but it failed. And it's coming back up, but I'm thinking the bearish bias is still down. So I saw this as a new low, first entry short, potential second entry short. Here's the confirmed second entry short, pushes below the EMA. I thought there was a trade here, but it is getting late in the day. And I was just happy with my one profitable trade. I just kind of wanted to leave it, especially if I got this wrong, it would have negated the win here going into the weekend. So I didn't want that hanging over my head. I also did draw this green up channel, so I had kind of two key entry points working for me. I had this coming down, it broke below the EMA, it got a rejection off the top of this up channel, so it's like two channels kind of pushing it down. And when it closed here, I felt if this green channel is more stronger, you'd be kind of going short against the strength of this, but then you have the strength of this coming down, and it closed below the EMA, so it's like two pros versus one con. But again, it's already late in the day or getting late in the day. So I, decided not to take the trade. But I was thinking if I wanted to take the trade, putting it one tick below this guy is a little aggressive. This is a nice signal bar, but it was also an inside bar to this. I would have put my entry probably at the same low as this candle. But as you can see, if I did, I wouldn't have gotten filled. And when I see this and I didn't get filled, it would have moved for my 1 point profit. My 1 point scalp, I would have canceled it here. So I probably wouldn't have stuck around and gotten trapped on this big swing back up, which would have likely stopped me out if I was going short. And then prices kind of move up. It just gets noisy and it kind of pushes into the close. I mean, you do have a nice setup here. It's a first entry long, technically a second entry long, and a second entry long failure, which is a fantastic setup, except this is at 12:59 and 11 seconds. So that prices are going to stop. This is going to be going into the close of regular trading in about 49 seconds. So in 49 seconds, it printed like 8 more candles. But definitely, I don't want to be taking a trade here. It'd be too gnarly and too, I guess, volatile for me. And it just kind of moves into the close. So it's a rather slow day for sure, kind of a snoozer. And it's unfortunate to kind of end that way. I was able to get one trade. I look in hindsight, I don't think it was the best trade. It could have easily just been skipped, but I did see this 2-leg visual down push. And I was looking for another push up, first leg up, 2 legs down, and maybe another push up. It plus was working off the bottom of this trading range. So that was kind of a good enough reason for me to take it. Unfortunately, the candles previously weren't the best. So this was risky because these bodies are tiny and plus they're below the halfway point. So going long when they're both kind of indicating some bearishness was a little risky. I did wait to see how this one was forming. And I was lucky that I was able to enter, fills me, flashes back down, and takes out my runner too. So very slow day. I'm hoping next week will be a little bit better. So hopefully that was helpful.